Hey there YouTube, it's Sergtino. And today we're going to be looking at the day 2 of Baltimore Pokemon Regionals. This is the first tournament of the season in North America. There were over 1,000 masters in this tournament. Just, wow, showing how the tournaments can keep getting bigger and bigger as time goes on. The point of this video is to have a more summarized version of the whole entire stream of day 2. I'm going to be giving my opinions, but I'm also going to be playing the games quite faster than they actually were played, so we can actually see the big ideas of each deck and each matchup without having to replay it at a slow speed. The first game we're going to be seeing is round number 13. Now, round number 12 was on stream earlier, but I decided not to play it because we're actually going to have a repeat of the same people later on. Now, this is going to be round 13. It's going to be this Mew VMAX that we saw a lot in the day 1. By the way, if you want to see my video on the day 1, check it out in the description. But on the other side is this Stonejourner VMAX deck. Wow. Talk about a surprise deck. This deck is meant to just stand tall, be a big rock, and not be able to be knocked out. How you do this is that Stonejourner's first attack does that if you attach an energy from your hand to it, it heals 200 damage. Plus all the different item cards that you can play, you're going to be able to get rid of all the damage done by any of these decks. I love the decks right now are 2-shotter decks, which means that it's very hard for them to hit 330. So Stonejourner is the perfect deck for this meta. Now, another thing that comes into play is that Stonejourner also plays some cards to discard some of the opponent's energy attached. And what this does is that Mew actually doesn't run that many energy. Most of them probably only run like 4 energy. So once those 4 energy get discarded by supporters or by crushing hammers, it's gonna be hard to get those energy back into the deck. So that's William's strategy, just doing healing off all the damage. And Stonejourner does have a second attack that with 3 energy on it, it does do 200 damage. So if the opponent is like, I'm not gonna attack, Stonejourner does have a second attack to just start doing big damage and can't be ignored. Very cool concept. What we're gonna be seeing a lot in this matchup is just hit and then William heal, and once the energy goes away, Ty's gonna be having a hard time getting back into position. Tails on that crushing hammer. Oh, that's going to be key in this matchup. Getting those crushing hammers, like I said before, those Mews only run 4 energy. So if you discard all of them, many of these decks don't have a way to get them back. And it's going to be an uphill to get come back in this matchup. So it does get heads on one of the crushing hammers there. Ty looking over Stonejourner is like, what does this do? how can it just heal off? But what you got to do is just now attack, but he just passes just because you have to retreat, and he did have another energy to attack and loses the other energy. So now no energy on the field for Ty. William just has a fully set up Stonejourner and puts damage on Mew VMAX. Ty's not looking good in this matchup. But with Boss's orders, William's able to get those first 3 prize cards, and Ty's looking, I sense, saying, what am I supposed to do? He might play a Silene supporter that gets some cards from discard pile back into his deck. But other than that, it's a very hard position. Oh, and then off that Pokestop, I think discards an energy. Alright, he has the energy. Hopefully he'll be able to do some damage here. Does some damage. Now let's see if that energy is gonna stick. Let's see if that damage is gonna stick. But most likely it won't. And William's deck is so interesting. Just have 1 active, just so Ty doesn't have any other plays. Ty plays that Silene. I don't know if he got tails or heads, but clearly realizes that he couldn't get the energy back, and that is it. Game 1 is done. He scoops, realizes there's no way for him to win this, and Williams' deck beats 1-0. All right, we're gonna go into game number two. Tai obviously going first, has to set up as quickly as possible. But oh, what a horrible start there. Didn't get a genocide, didn't get a VIP pass, didn't get anything. He just has to pass. Now William has to be a little bit safe here. Yeah, he puts a second Sojourner down just in case Ty does get all the cards that he needs that first turn. He could actually potentially get the first turn knockout. But William, knowing that, puts a second Sojourner down, and Ty is like, uh oh. It was hard enough knocking one of you down, knocking two of you down. Oh, man. Well, you gotta play, right? Pokemon is one of those games that, like, with a little bit of luck, anything could happen. And yeah, all he can do is just put the Oricorio active in pass. Couldn't get that Mew VMAX to get a hit on that Sojourner. Ugh. When you have an opportunity and you dead draw, it's not a pretty sight. And after getting that Sojourner VMAX, not just one, but two. Oh, it's looking harder and harder to tie to win this game. Finally able to get a double cross switcher. Put some damage on the board, but this is when the torture starts happening. Now William's hand, I only see one energy so far. So maybe he won't be able to heal. And in this way, Ty might be able to take the two prize cards. But getting that energy discarded there just, puts Ty in another like situation. I think there's a couple of energy left. Yeah, there's one in there. Oh, there's a couple in there. So you still got a couple more turns. Finally gets the switch there. But no. He scoops. He realizes even if he like gets his knockout, I guess it's just not good enough. And then that's it. Now this matchup is gonna be Mew VMAX versus Mew VMAX. The mirror matchup. I mean, this game is just about who gets their cards. They both know what to do. They both need to set up as quick as possible and start hitting hard against the opponent. Now, one of the things about Mew Max is that if you get 3 power tablets, you actually are going to be able to one-shot the opposing Mew VMAX, but you can only do that once per game just because you only run 4 power tablets. So the idea is to maybe get early damage, 2-shot one Mew VMAX, and maybe one-shot the other one, or there's different plays here and there. Oricorio, which neither player has put down, actually does a difference in this matchup as well, just because it makes it that much more difficult to knock out a bench Genesect. Because without the Oricorio, Mew VMAX would be able to knock out a bench Genesect without any damage modifiers. But with the Oricorio, you need a choice band or a power tablet that could have been used for a Mew VMAX. And that's what happened. Double cross switcher puts the Mew active. And with that, Tanner takes the first 2 prize cards. Very strong showing here by Tanner. Now, how would Jeremy gonna be able to come back from the situation? Now he has 2 choices in this turn. He can go full out and try to get a one-shot on the Mew VMAX, or you can see what he did there is that he just brought out a chance sector. I'm just gonna take 2 prize cards. So it's gonna be 2-on-2. Both people still have to take 4 more prize cards, which will be a little bit more difficult with a Mew VMAX facing them down. There we go. 2 prize cards taken by both players. With that, Tanner already has a fully set up bench Mew VMAX, so just has to send it active. What he's looking for is, again, either a way to put a Genesect from the bench to the active, or just getting the triple power tablets to try to get the one-shot on this Mew VMAX. Now, it might be a little bit more difficult when the Crocomatic gets Tails 3 times in a row. But he still gets it. He still gets the triple power tablet and gets the one-hit knockout on the Mew VMAX. Now Jeremy has to go for the same play. Has to go for the triple power tablet to get the opposing knockout. He has 2. He still needs an evolution and a 3rd one. He gets the evolution there, so now he has to just draw the 3rd one. Not there yet. Not there yet. Oh, choice band is also important there. Not there yet. Oh, I think he found it. That Rotom phone's so powerful, able to put any card on top using Avery to discard some of Tanner's bench and getting the one-shot knockout as well. Now Tanner's play is kind of obvious, just trying to get the one-shot on the bench Genesect, but like I said, because of that bench Oricorio, you need much more. Like, you need an attack modifier. He couldn't get it. He didn't have any more power tablets left or any choice band. And with that, he was 20 short to knock out that Genocide. Couldn't knock it out. And Jeremy takes game one. Tanner realizing, I don't have this. There's no way of me getting the one shot, and scoops. Now Tanner obviously choosing to go first in this matchup. Going first is so important, like I said before, just because you're trying to get the Pokemon down as quick as possible, and Mew can't attack the first turn that it's down. So you're definitely trying to get attacking as quick as possible, and you have to wait one turn. This is one of the biggest difference of people running Meloetta these days, or not running them anymore. It's because Meloetta had the potential attack in turn one, but made the deck a little bit more consistent. Now you see right there Jeremy playing that every turn one, discarding the bench Mew, and making it much more difficult, like kind of destroying like the great setup that Tanner had. Now he has to look for another Mew next turn, and it's gonna be resources that he needs to allocate differently than he would have wanted it to. Early Avery could be the game changer in this matchup. As you can see there, Jeremy now has a fully set up bench. Get the choice band, maybe just missing an energy attachment to make this turn completely perfect, but it's a very strong start. Double cross switcher, putting the Genesect active, hopefully buys Tanner or buys Jeremy another turn, because now Tanner needs many more cards to just attack this turn. Very interesting there. Tanner using a Chronomatic, discarding a power tablet. That could be quite more useful in the later game in this matchup. But yeah, very painful. I believe 2 power tablets were used there. Another Mew was a bench and had to use an energy to retreat a Genesect. Oh, like how like unlucky can you get? Just didn't get any of the cards that you really needed there. Now Jeremy, if he gets the knockout on this Mew VMAX, that will be just it. That early Avery, like I said, discarded that Mew from the bench, and without having an attack in next turn, it would just be detrimental for Tanner. I think a mountain way too big for him to be able to climb back up. So I see a couple power tablets. That shiny gold, kind of hard. Oh, and the triple power tablet. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, what am I seeing here? He just drew those. Oh, and once he gets this knockout, what's Tanner gonna do? What is Tanner gonna do? And even with having the knockout in hand, Jeremy is like, I'm not gonna rush it. Yeah, that's it. Jeremy gets the knockout. Tanner was like, I'm done. That was fun. And there we go. The match is done, winning 2-0. Next match, round number 15 is gonna be Tord versus Isaac. When you have Tord available, you always try to get him on stream. He's going to be playing this Palkia deck. Definitely, we saw them quite a bit in Worlds. He probably adapted it to this new meta since he made it this far. But unfortunately, he's facing this Mew deck. So you see a lot of this Mew because of the Palkia meta. Because Mew has such a good matchup against this Palkia. Palkia can't one-shot the Mew VMAX, and the Mew VMAX can one-shot a Palkia. Now it is 2 prize cards versus 3, so it's not cut and dry as people may think. But if anybody can win this matchup, it is Tord. He would obviously play the game almost perfectly every single time, so that's what makes him such a good player. Now this is round 15. I believe this is the last round before top 8, so both of these players are playing to make it to top 8. So very important, very high stakes game. Very interesting how he got a Bidoof. Obviously Bidoof is very strong. We got another Palkia there, so realizes I can't attack this turn, but I can set up. I can make it much more difficult for my opponent. So even if they get a knockout, they should have a returning Pokemon to attack. Now Isaac getting what he needs, a double power tablet necessary to get the one shot here. You only run 4 power tablets and you need 2 of them to knock out a Palkia V-Star, but that Palkia is the only Pokemon that had an energy attachment on it, which makes it much more difficult to set up an attack and an extra. I mean, Palkia does have its ability, but I think it's just going to be much more hurtful being down 2 price cards. Now that Palkia, if there's enough energy in the discard, which I believe there is, it's going to be able to set up itself and another attacker. Right now, the only other attack is the Greninja, and after putting the Oranguru on the bench, it seems like half of the energy is going to go to that Palkia, and the other half is going to go to that Radiant Greninja on the bench. Now Radiant Greninja is actually really big in this matchup, because what you do is that you hit with the Palkia, do a lot of damage there, but it's not going to be able to get the one shot just because Mew VMAX is kind of tanky. And what they do is that Greninja is going to be able to pick up the knockout next turn. But this does mean that Tord won't be able to win next turn. So if Isaac has the right card, he could potentially win next turn. We see there Isaac already played 1 power tablet, gets the 2nd power tablet with a Genesect, and with 1 Genesect to spare, and it's going to be able to get the knockout. It does, and now Tord has to... I don't know, it seems kind of hard for Tord. I mean, he'll have to get a Palkia on the bench. Yeah, it's going to be really hard for Tord to come back, because he only has 1 energy attachment this turn. It's going to be to that active Greninja. So I don't know if Tord runs any Melanie, and if it doesn't, there's actually no way to set up a Palkia V-Star for next turn. Oh, he has a Melanie in hand, so there's a potential of that. But I believe looking back at stream, yeah, I think Tord was actually out of Palkia V-Stars. There was actually no way for him to get a return knockout next turn. So with that, Isaac takes game 1. This game is actually quite important. They're both 10-2-2, which means they can't take a draw to make top cut, which means they need to win or lose. If they draw, neither of them make it to top 8. Now Tord getting a strong start, getting an energy on that Palkia, and then next turn should be able to attack with the Palkia V-Star. Isaac doing Mew things and just fully setting up. Now Tord is playing quickly. Now I'm assuming if we were playing this in normal speed, he'll be playing quite fast. But he knows what he needs to do. Just get the energy on the field, getting the 1-hit knockout. Tord takes the first 2 prize cards. I mean, Isaac with the double power tablet is going to be able to get the opposing knockout, but Tord already has a 2nd Palkia V-Star on the bench, so he'll be able to get the energy on the field however he likes. Now here, I'm not sure. Ideally, I guess he'll be attacking with Greninja and getting that 9 damage on both Mews, telling Isaac, like, regardless what you're going to do next turn. Oh, I guess not. Oh, takes a knockout with the Palkia. Oh, ho, ho, ho. And that's it. That was so quick. So he actually takes a knockout on the opposing Genesect. And the idea is that Tord was going to have the cards to get another knockout the next turn on the other Genesect. Just ignoring the Mew VMAX. Having enough cards with the Boss's Orders and the Cross Switchers to take out those 2 prize cards on the bench. Isaac is going first. Just getting the bench Mew, putting the energy on, just a strong start. Like, you don't need that many cards, but you could get it with his Mew deck. Tord also has a strong start with benching 3 Palkias, telling Isaac that, like, if you beat one of them, I'll have 2 other. But Isaac playing that timely Avery, discarding 2 of Tord's bench. Now if he keeps going strong here, he actually probably be able to cross switch out another Palkia, take those prize cards. Let's see if he gets those cards. He does! And now that leaves Tord with only 1 Palkia. He started that turn with 3 Palkias. Now he's going to have 1 at the end. And I don't know how many resources he has to actually get those Palkia back into his deck. Oh man, no Radiant Greninja. Just attaching 3 energy on the Palkia V-Star. And Isaac just showing, here's a double power tablet. I'm just going to knock you out right immediately. Yeah, I don't know what he can do here. I mean, he's going to keep trying. If anybody knows his outs, it's Tord. Has another energy, is going to attach it and wait a turn. But yeah, if Isaac has a boss's order, that should be it. And he does. And that's it. Round 15 is done, and Tord is not going to be able to win this regionals. And with that, we're going to actually be moving on to top 8 of this tournament. Our first matchup is exactly the same as we saw the turn before, which is Mew VMAX versus Palkia. But there is a difference. Makani, I'm not sure how you say his name, is actually playing the Ice Rating version. So rather than just having one attack with the Palkia, you also have an Ice Rider. The other big difference is that the Ice Rider's health is much higher than a Palkia V-Star. What makes this such a big difference is that Mew is really good at one-shotting a Palkia V-Star, has a much more difficulty knocking out those high HP Pokemon, as we saw in the Sojourner. Now, double cross switcher there. Makani using Palkia's V-Star's ability to attach 2 energy on that Greninja, using Greninja's attack and getting 9 damage onto Mew is so powerful in this matchup. Why is that so powerful? Because now if Jeremy's going to be evolving both these Mew VMAXs, it's going to have so much damage counters on them that even a Palkia V-Star will be able to knock them out. I think that's the ideal turn 1 to attack with that Greninja, and Makani was able to get that off. Now the Ice Rider goes down, which is like, I think right now a Palkia V-Star is definitely much more important than an Ice Rider. Now Makani playing that Melanie. Why Melanie is so important is because Makani already used his V-Star ability to attach the energy on the bench Greninja. While with that Melanie, it's going to be able to charge up that Palkia in one turn. Now, he does need a second attacker for next turn, so he probably has to bench either an Ice Rider or another Palkia. Let's see. And he gets the Ultra Ball, benches the Ice Rider there, and ideally has a Melanie for next turn. Gets this 3 prizes this turn, and yeah, Jeremy kind of just has to take a knockout and hope that Makani doesn't have the cards that he needs to get the knockout this turn. Whoa. What's going on here? Why did Jeremy not take a knockout? Oh, what is going here? He had a knockout? Am I missing something? I guess he was just afraid that Makani might have gotten all the cards that he needed. But yeah, so I think the judges are talking to him because I believe Jeremy actually did a double attachment. I think this turn started with no energy on the field, and now they have 2 Pokemon with energy. So yeah, Jeremy had to take the energy attachment back. Oh man, so he's gonna be able to take a knockout, I guess. I don't know what's going on here anymore. As you can see there, Makani is getting that 2 prize cards, showing that like he just needs to take 1 more prize card, he'll be able to win this game. And with that, he takes the prize cards necessary to win that game 1. We are moving into game number 2 though, and Jeremy starting off, obviously with his decks, you want to go first. Already has the VIP pass in hand, gets those Genesects on the bench and starts drawing. Already has an energy attached on the active Mew, so I'm not sure what else you can ask for in this turn. And there we go, that's turn 1. Oricorio on the bench as well to try to make it a little bit more difficult for Makani to get a one-shot on this Pokemon. Makani playing that VIP pass, getting Bidoof down, Palkia down. Oh, here he has another Ice Rider and Palkia in hand, telling Jeremy that like, oh, your start was good. Well, my start was quite good as well. I do think that Makani did miss the 1 energy attachment there, so it makes it a little bit more difficult. And Jeremy playing that every down, making Makani discard 1 of his Ice Riders. It's going to be able to take this knockout, I believe, and making Makani's turn going from like quite amazing to a really iffy start. That Avery, wow. We've seen that in a couple matches already. So strong early on, really disrupts the opponent's setup. If you get all the cards right, I think you still have enough time to get the game plan fully going. Now, what Mechanic really needs to do here is to get a second attacker on the bench, which doesn't seem like he did. So if Jeremy has all the right cards, he will be able to knock out this Palkia, and then it's going to be really hard for Mechanic to come back. I see one cross switcher. I see a second cross switcher. Oh man, one power tablet. You need a second one there. You need a second one. He gets the second one there, and yeah, I don't see any way Mechanic be able to come back. He looks at opponent's discard, and very smart play. When you're playing in this best 2 out of 3s, right before you lose, you look at your opponent's discard just to make sure there's no and weird text there. Yeah, special cards there that like could be different than other decks. You look at opponent's deck discard, making sure you know all of this, and then you scoop up and go into game number 3. 2 power tablets prize there as we go into game number 3 could come really crucial. You need those 2 power tablets to just knock out a Palkia V-Star, and many Mew decks try to get rid of the power tablets early on to try to draw more with their Genesects, so that could come into play quite a bit. I mean, that's a really good turn 1. I don't know what else you can ask for. Maybe a Radiant Greninja, but I actually like it that he kept it to 3 bench, knowing that like that every could come down and destroy his setup if he puts any more bench Pokemon down. That is the 3rd Genesect. That is the 4th Genesect to hit the bench. Oh wow, you rarely ever see that. You always see that Oricorio get the 5th bench spot, but 4 Genesects, talk about consistency. But it goes back to Mechanic's turn. He did leave the Mew active. So now Mechanic has a option here. Is he going to try to do the Greninja play, get damage counters on the board, or is he going to take the 2 prices here and then kind of ignoring any Mew VMAX that comes active and just taking the rest of the price cards from this bench Genesect? Did go for an Ice Rider there. He's just going to go for the 2 price cards right there. And the really strong thing about this Ice Rider is that its first attack does more damage depending on your opponent's bench Pokemon, like how many they are. And with that, Mechanic was able to take 2 price cards without needing to discard any energy, which makes a really strong position for next turn. Like I said before, this Ice Rider has much more health than the Palkia, especially with the 2 bench power tablets. It's going to be impossible to one-shot this Ice Rider. So I'm assuming that's why Jeremy brought forward the Palkia, potentially trying to get the one-shot. But I don't know if he realizes that he's actually low on power tablets there. Yeah, and he kind of like brought back the Ice Rider. Couldn't get the one-shot there, so he brought it back active and put damage counters on it. Mechanic gets Boss's Order or something, gets a Genesect active, take 2 price cards there. It's going to be really hard. Yeah, there we go. And he didn't put any energy on a second attacker, so if Jeremy gets a one-shot here, actually no, but then Mechanic actually hasn't used the Palkia's V-Star's ability yet, so he's actually be able to charge up anybody he wants. He just needs a double cross switcher, and there we go. He takes game number 3 there and winning the match. Anyways, we're gonna go into the top 4, which is going to be Piper versus Andrew. Now, this match was actually seen in round number 13. I didn't show it on this video just because I knew it was going to be repeated again. And it's going to be this Piper's Charizard deck, Charizard Italian, versus this Reggie's deck. This Reggie's deck is a very cool concept. Being able to put down all the different Reggie types on your bench and being able to attack with them, it's very cool. Especially because there's all the different types. It makes it really good with against different decks. There's an electric type and a steel type to beat those Palkia, those Ice Riders. But there isn't a dark type Reggie that would have been really able to destroy the Mew deck. So now one of the things about both these decks is that they're both 1 price attackers, which means that both players are going to be needing to take all 6 price cards individually. Now, this will make this game feel like a game that was being played like 20 years ago, taking 1 price card a turn. What is so important is that with big attackers, and when you're taking 2 or 3 prize cards per turn, you actually just try to get all the items for the one big turn. While when you're only taking 1 prize card per turn, it's not about the one hits. It's about consistency and going and getting the one knockout every single turn. And this is much more difficult, especially when your own Pokemon are being knocked out each turn as well. This Italian though is made for consistency because many people use it as a utility to get all the items cards necessary, but Piper's actually using it as an attacker, which means that when I'm evolving, I'm not just setting up an attacker, I'm also setting up the items and the cards that I need to consistently get my attacks off. Very cool concept here. Now Piper playing this very smart as well. The good thing about this Italian is that it does 20 damage to the bench, and why it's so important is that a lot of these Regis has more than 120 HP, as like 130 or 150, but once you put the 20 damage on the bench, it's actually enough damage for the Italian to get a one-shot knockout. Now Piper quietly setting up that Charizard on the bench. It's just kind of like, I'm just going to be slowly setting up this Charizard to have an attacker later on. That Stadium is able to attach a Fire Energy from a discard power to that Charizard. Even though it deals 2 damage there, it slowly sets it up. Doing that at the same time, Piper's able to set up a different attacker with the Italian and getting knockout after knockout. Andrew's deck though, once you get all the Regis down, you're able to attach the energy to any of them and keep attacking. So it's consistency versus consistency, different type of consistency there. But talking about consistency, it does early on, it does seem like Andrew missed an attack, and it's so crucial on this one prizer Pokemon, because once you go behind a prize card, you actually have to hope that your opponent actually misses a hit, and it doesn't seem like that's happening with Piper. After Andrew gets his knockout, I believe that Charizard is going to be able to attack with just a Fire Energy. Basically, what Piper just needs is to get the one knockout here and then have the supporter to get the Charizard and the energy back on hand next turn and get a one-hit knockout. So it seems really hard for Andrew here, but he can hope that Piper doesn't have the cards that she needs. I mean, a really good card here would have been maybe Roxanne, but many cards have been dropping that Roxanne just because they're more focused about their own consistency rather than disturbing the opponent. But yeah, there you go. Piper having that supporter to get the energy and the Charizard back, free retreating and getting the one-hit knockout. Andrew does decide to go first though this turn. He already has 4 Regis on the board. There's the 5th one. So it's a very strong start. Next turn, he'll probably be able to get the 6th Reggie down and start attacking, starting getting those knockouts. Piper's turn is very straightforward. As many Sobo as you can, and that's what she did. Just kind of talk off and getting 2 more Sobos on the bench there. Andrew bosses to order a Manaphy. Oh, saying that like, oh, I actually don't have enough energy in my discard to actually get an attack off. So right off the bat, he's behind the turn. And Piper getting the cards that she needs. Rare Candy, Italian, attacking with it. And there we go. Gets the first prize card. Andrew so behind. He's missing 2 Regis on the bench to be able to just attack this turn. And I don't see him getting that. Oh, sorry, 1 more Reggie on the bench. But yeah, he didn't get it. Oh, man. Now he is going to be able to get the Regis finally. But the problem about this Regigigas is that, yes, it has more health than the rest of them. It has 150 health, but it actually needs multiple turn attachments to be able to attack, because it requires 5 energy opposing to 3 or 4 to the other ones. And with that, he just scoops. He realizes, no, I'm way too behind, and I think he discarded an energy there with a Pokestop. Oh man. And with that Piper goes in, wins top 4, and goes to this final. Now, both of these players we have seen before. We're seeing Isaac's Mew VMAX deck versus Piper's Charizard deck. Both good meta calls, obviously, since they made it to the final. Mew very popular in this tournament. It was going to be hard to see them not get all the way to the finals. But Piper's deck is just made for this. She was one step ahead. She was like, oh, I'm not just going to beat Palkia decks, I'm going to beat Palkia and Mew decks. So, well, we're going to see how this matchup goes. I actually not too familiar with this matchup. And yeah, I want to bring this up. I want to know if Isaac is familiar with this matchup, right? Because, like, when you're practicing, I mean, you probably would practice against Charizard deck, but there are just so many other decks out there that you would be practicing for that if you don't know how to play this match perfectly, it could really hurt him. There are two ways that Isaac could be playing this. One way is that he can just be getting a knockout each turn and hopefully Piper won't be able to keep up. Or he'll be able to just attack with Oricorio's attack and just spread out damage throughout. And slowly take the prize cards before he takes a lot of prize cards the same turn. Now, because of scoop ups, I don't think that's a smart way to go. And also, I mean, those Italians, once they buff, they have 120 health. Like, it's gonna take a while before you get a knockout that way. So yeah, I don't know how Isaac's gonna be playing this. I don't know how much experience he has playing this matchup. So we see there he's gonna attack, and yeah, he's gonna be attacking with Oricorio's attack, and it's gonna be putting damage on the board. Scoop ups there. Piper saying, I'm not gonna leave that damage on the board. I'm gonna get rid of it. Uses Oricorio's attack one more time, putting 5 damage on the bench trace out, putting 3 more damage on the active Mew, getting it ready for a one-hit knockout next turn. Now it's very interesting because Piper does play that Menifee. I'm surprised why the Menifee hasn't gone down. Now Piper's gonna start doing damage. 10 this turn, 10 next turn, and 10 one more turn. And with the Zigzagoon that I believe Piper plays, is going to be able to take the perfect 310 damage necessary to knock out this Mew VMAX. Yeah, I mean, Isaac is kind of like behind here. Like, all the damage that's just going away. What he's going to do, attack with Oricorio, finally take his first knockout? Like, he's so behind. Yeah, that's it. That is game 1 of the finals. Oof. I think Isaac was just trying to like play it slowly. I'm like, maybe I could have speed Piper, but I don't know. I didn't like it. Isaac definitely could have taken early prize cards early on. I don't know. Strong start there. Obviously, Mew does what Mew does, which is Genesect, energy attachments, and there you go. What else do you want from turn 1? Now Isaac is like, okay, there you go, Piper. I'm fully set up. Let's see what you can do. Piper is like, I built this deck for consistency. I'm just gonna have Force Salvo on the field. What? Talk about consistency. That is the definition of consistency. Turn 2 Force Salvo. Oh. Isaac getting the Oricorio down, knowing that if Rare Candy or a Italian start attacking against this Mew, those 2 damage counters less will actually make a difference. Now Isaac could have attacked with Oricorio's attack again, but realized that turn 1 wasn't a good strategy, so now he's just gonna be taking quick knockouts, seeing if he can like win this way. Kind of like changing a strategy like that from game 1 to game 2, maybe showing that like he doesn't have that much experience with this, or maybe just the cards that he was dealt with the first turn. Now Isaac getting the double cross switcher, putting that Charizard active and saying, you're the biggest threat, Charizard. If I'm able to knock you out as many times as I can, I might be able to slow my opponent down enough for me to take 6 prize cards. There we go. 1 Charizard hits the discard pile. What is Piper gonna do there? With the Raihan, which lets Piper attack right away with this Italian that had no energy on it. Oof, very strong. Raihan very good at 1 prize card decks, just because you can always use it like almost every single turn. Now again, Piper did all of that and he's just doing 10 damage. 10 damage used to be so little, But it adds up, especially with this one price cards Pokemon. Oh, it's so weird seeing this, right? We're so used to 200 damage, 250 damage. Now like 100, and that's a lot, and that's like enough to create Isaac to panic. Oh, very interesting deck by Piper. Very cool. Now Isaac having two Mews, able to switch between them and is able to get the attack off every single turn. Piper having the cards necessary, putting the scoop ups, getting Drizzles down, and puts that Charizard down with the right hand with a twin energy, and is able to get 3 price cards this turn. Whoa. That 10 damage made such a big difference. Without that, she wouldn't have been able to get the 3 price cards, but there we go. Just show you how strong 10 damage can be. Isaac was able to get the one hit there. Now Piper's idea is like, I don't need to get a one hit knockout this turn. I literally just need to put some damage on the board. Gets the one hit knockout on the Oricorio, setting up, I believe, the double cross switcher play for next turn to knock out one of those opposing Genesects. And he's playing Silene, trying to get some cards back in the deck. Yep, Piper had the cards that she needed to get the double cross switcher into the hand and knocking out that Genesect. With that, Piper is your champion of the Baltimore Regionals 2022. Oh, very cool seeing a strong new deck out there. I mean, I wouldn't say new, as we saw a couple in the Worlds, but still a strong deck. With there, you actually kind of see top 8 decks. Radiant Charizard winning the whole tournament. Mew coming into the finals. Regigigas, Ice Rider top 4, as we saw. And then a couple more Mews. Just Mews everywhere. Man, if you couldn't beat a Mew, this is not a tournament for you. Another Radiant Greninja. And the Milton Morpeko deck, which I actually would have wished I saw on stream, because I'm not sure how the deck plays, right? I believe it just stalls out your opponent not being able to attack because of Miltank's ability and just getting rid of the energies. Similar ideas to the Stonejourner maybe. And as you can see as your screen, thanks for watching.